Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome to the omniverse of Nick and my next Transformers story, the third one on the channel, and third Transformers Prime story. Technically, the Tailgate one wasn't even a story, it was just analysis, which will then be turned into a story, placing them with Shockwave, but that's beside the point. This is the third Transformers Prime and in general Transformers story on the channel, and pretty much one of my favorite cons in the show, Skyquake. And what if Skyquake joined the Autobots? Now, before we get into today's episode, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and further support and acknowledge the future of this channel by checking out the Patreon, Discord, and Google Doc on the homepage. With all that said, let's get into the first of 5 to 6 parts. Still not sure, since I'm now working on schedule with this for like the upteenth time this year. And we're just going to see how it goes from there. So, it could be 5 to 6 parts or just a tiny little bit over. But in general, 5 to 6 parts is the rough estimate. So, as I said, this story is covering what if Skyquake, one of the cons that was literally shown up and killed in the first episode he debuted in, just like Cliffjumper, and someone who definitely needed a major upgrade. And thank TF Motion Freak, or TF Freak Studios and Stories, for making this picture for me, because I had no earthly idea how to make the picture and like the main pick for the story. So thank him a lot for making this. And he actually made a few others and supported and helped out with this story in its entirety. So check him out, because he definitely deserves the credit. With all that said, let's get started. So, for those not familiar and who need a brief update or just in general don't know what the frick I'm talking about, as always, I explain the prognosis of the character and the story before I actually begin. So, Skyquake in Transformers Prime was a Decepticon put on Earth in stasis, emerged from stasis by Starscream after Megatron and the whole space bridge blowing up nonsense. He was emerged from stasis and only was loyal to Megatron and did not obey Starscream in the slightest. Then Optimus and Bumblebee arrived, knowing that Starscream and Soundwave were out and detecting another Decepticon presence, which was Skyquake. Skyquake then hilariously slapped Starscream out of the way, leading to Starscream and Soundwave spectating and then eventually finding Megatron in space. While Optimus would at first try to convince Skyquake to join the Autobots, but Skyquake said he would never side with a Prime, leading to Optimus and Bumblebee teaming up, and then Skyquake getting a vehicle form and showing off lots of promise and prowess, but still not being able to fully get the job done. And even after he got a vehicle form from Agent Fowler, who unexpectedly just was flying in the air and really had nothing to do with this scene, it ended up with Skyquake still getting bested and killed by Bumblebee and Optimus, even if it was unfortunate and literally given him the Cliffjumper treatment and Tailgate treatment. So, after that, we would not see any kind of Skyquake return or anything until Starscream would attempt to bring him back as an undead Terracon with Megatron's shard of Dark Energon, which he would fail at because that Skyquake, the undead one, would get trapped in the Shadow Zone whenever the two ground bridges from both sides collided. And then Miko, Jack, Raphael would find Starscream's arm in there, take Skyquake, the undead Terracon's arm, off, and then make themselves back into the real world, while Skyquake's arm would be attacking Starscream, and then the undead Skyquake would be left in the Shadow Zone forever, and then Soundwave would get trapped in it, and ironically, we never saw the two of them meet. And Robots in Disguise, the crappiest sequel in the entirety of the planet, it did not show that either. So, what does this mean? It means that Skyquake was left completely unusable in the franchise and was only there as an extra character. Meaning that even if, like my Cliffjumper story, we could have seen Skyquake return, we could have seen him fully fight the Autobots in his Terracon form, and that would have been enough to maybe capsulate some kind of arc with his character. But even then, we didn't get to see him do almost anything besides fight in one episode. Then, we would learn something else. Something that makes Skyquake's death even worse. We would come to find out that Skyquake actually had a twin in the form of Dreadwing, who was out in space and across the galaxy, shared split sparks, and Dreadwing felt when his twin was deceased, and would later come on Earth and get way more potential screen time and promise than Skyquake ever got in his one episode and then Terracon episode. So this made Skyquake's death even worse. So we're going to rectify that and put ourselves back whenever Skyquake, Optimus, and B are about to fight. And this is where our episode begins and the story. So with all that said, let's get started. We are just about to get Optimus and Skyquake duking it out after Skyquake slapped Starscream out of the way. But Optimus says that this is a new fight on a new world, and Optimus tells Skyquake to join him and the Autobots and help end this conflict forever. His master Megatron is dead, and Starscream is no leader, meaning that Skyquake has no reason to stay with the Decepticons. And if Starscream wants to lead, it's never going to be like when Megatron led. So the best that Skyquake can do is join them and help end the Decepticons for good, or try to lead them toward peace. And this is Optimus actually taking his speech much more into account instead of being so serious in his wording, even though it would still be hard for Skyquake to accept joining with a Prime, which we're about to get into. Skyquake thinks on this, and as much as he hates the thought of joining with a Prime, and the fact that he's so loyal to Megatron, the Prime is right. On one hand, he doesn't want to join at all and wants to waste Optimus Prime and do what Megatron told him to do and annihilate him and his little lackey Bumblebee here. But on another, he just can't shake the feeling that Optimus Prime might be right. His master is dead, Starscream is no leader, and he would never take orders from him. And honestly, the Decepticon cause seems pretty broken, and the bots seem stronger than ever by comparison, and he just woke up. So, after a long moment of thinking and stewing over his own thoughts, Skyquake makes the ultimate decision and decides to take Optimus up on his offer. And he agrees to join the bots. For now, because he's still not comfortable with joining a Prime, especially because of everything that he's just witnessed and heard about. So with this, Skyquake has joined the Autobots? ? And Optimus and B see Agent Fowler flying up from above and pull him down and tell him the news. Agent Fowler doesn't trust a Decepticon worth of crap because it was bad enough whenever Megatron teamed up with them to beat Unicron. But this Decepticon joining them, we're going to know that Agent Fowler's not going to be on board with this at all. Decepticons without Megatron or not, they can't trust this con. But Prime says every sentient being possesses the opportunity for change. Skyquake's been asleep for a long time, and with no Megatron, he has no purpose. But joining them, that can actually give them not only a very good soldier, but ensure that the Decepticons never get the upper hand ever again. And that without Megatron, they either can lead the Decepticons toward peace or finish this battle once and for all. Meanwhile, Skyquake's just taking all this in and honestly still stewing over the fact that he is joining with the opposite side. But honestly, again, he doesn't really see why he should argue with Prime since he's made a very compelling and good point. So, with that, they all prepare to head back to base, but Skyquake's obviously the last to go because they still don't know if they can trust him. But Skyquake doesn't have any reason to attack, so it seems, so they still proceed with caution. Meanwhile, Starscream and Soundwave have been spectating the whole thing, and Starscream is enraged. Not only did this Decepticon traitor Skyquake betray the Decepticon cause to join Optimus, but he defied him, the new leader of the Decepticons, which means that when they strike, which they will very, very soon, it means that Skyquake will be one of the first to die. And that Starscream says, now they're going to Prime and they're going to war. And Skyquake will be the first to die before all the bots, as an example of what happens to those who don't obey the new leader of the Decepticons. But Soundwave says, or, marks coordinates that the space bridge, there's a life signal there. And with that, Starscream goes and finds Megatron, pulls the Dark Energon shard out, hides it, and then they take him back to base. Or, the Nemesis. So, with this, Skyquake has officially joined the Autobots and is now a part of Team Prime and the Autobot base. With Starscream now open for war and Skyquake joining the Autobots, does this mean that our bot team is way too overpowered for the cons at this point and that Megatron, even if he does come back, it won't matter? Will Skyquake eventually join Megatron if he does wake up? Or has Skyquake chose the right side, or is he just biding his time to betray the bots? With all these questions said, stay tuned for the next episode of What If Skyquake Joined the Autobots.